Okay, so I wanted to make a video. This was something I discussed in my learning group today at work. Today is the yahrzeit of the Shevet Musar, who was the chief rabbi of Izmir, Turkey, in the 1600s and 1700s. He wrote over 40 Sfarim. He was a well-known Kabbalist also. And there's a story that he mentions in the Sefer Minchas Eliyahu, or Minchas Kohen. I think it's Minchas Eliyahu, which I heard from Rabbi Bart Tzadok. And it's a very teachable story. There's a lot of very teachable items that you can get from this story. And that's why I'd like to share it, specifically because I work in mental health. And I don't know if I was talking, I was learning with doctors at the hospital, and I don't know if I offended them. I don't know exactly what their feelings were with what I shared. And I tried to share it in a sensitive way, being both frank but politically correct, trying to balance. So I'll share pretty much, the story and some insights I heard from Rabbi Bart Tzadok and some of my own insights to this story. And if you want to hear the original Rabbi Bart Tzadok, he has on his website koshertorah.com. You could buy a download of his MP3 with this story, but I don't feel like it's Hasoga school for me to share it, even though he sells the MP3s, because it's a story that's in the public domain. It's in the Sefer from the Minchas Eliyahu, and I'm sharing because it's the yahrzeit today. So the story that he told was like this: a man came to him. Actually, what I didn't mention was, much of the rest of the story of the discussion that the Minchas Eliyahu, that the Shevet Musar brings in the Sefer, and how he discusses how can we be aware of what's really real. Because, and this I didn't share with the doctors today, but it's there in the Sefer. He discusses how we find sometimes in Scripture, not too often, but occasionally in the Talmud and quite often in Kabbalistic literature, in the Zohar and so forth, that people channel tzaddikim who are no longer in this world. Righteous people, saints, they're no longer in this world, and they feel that they're receiving messages from these various holy people who passed on, or sometimes even messages from holy people who are alive as well, in dreams and visions and so forth. And a very famous example is that the Talmud tells us that Rabbeinu HaKadosh, that Rav Yehuda HaNasi, the redactor of the Mishnah, after he left this world, he would come every week and make kiddush for his family Friday night. For Shabbos, the prayer we say over the wine before we eat. Blessing. And he already left this world, and yet he would come back now. First of all, there's a question: how could he fulfill their obligation if he was no longer here? And there's many different questions attached to this, but I think the most important question that this Shevet Musar brings, the Minchas Eliyahu brings, is how do you know it's really him? Meaning, in Scripture and in the Talmud, there are many different types of beings that are described, what we call supernatural, or extra-dimensional, or extraterrestrial, whatever you want to call them. Rabbi Bart Tzadok noted that this word extraterrestrial just means not of this earth. So it doesn't necessarily mean a physical alien coming in a flying saucer. by definition, angels, demons, all these beings are not of this earth. They're extraterrestrial beings. Doesn't mean they're necessarily physical. Some are and some are not. Ghosts, all of these things, they don't live in this realm that we live in. They live in another realm and they interact with our realm, is basically how he teaches it. So how do you know if someone comes and represents as someone that they're not trying to trick you? And what kind of, and when can you know yes or no? So he said there's a well-known tradition that Minchas Eliyahu brings that if that the form of a tzaddik, and only that tzaddik, the forces of tumah, the forces of impurity, evil forces or unclean forces, do not have the power to authentically